am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. I am opening. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. We are opening. We are opening. We are opening. We are opening. We are opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One.
Everybody make a joyful noise. Everybody make a joyful noise. You know how to make a joyful noise. Clap your hands and lift your voice. Everybody make a joyful noise. Everybody lift your voice in song. Everybody lift your voice in song. Come on, lift your voice in song. You can do it, sing along. Everybody lift your voice in song. Everybody clap on 2 and 4. Everybody clap on 2 and 4. Come on, clap on 2 and 4. Make it louder, give it more. Come on, clap on 2 and clap on 4. Living big for God's the way to go. Living big for God's the way to go. Living big's the way to go. Give it up and let it flow. Living big for God is the way to go. We intend to make a joyful noise. We intend to make a joyful noise. You know how to make a joyful noise. Clap your hands and lift your voice. We intend to make a joyful noise. Said we intend to make a joyful noise.
Woo, 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 yeah. Good morning, Ahava. Good morning. It's great to be back. I know it's just been one Sunday, but I missed you all. Yes. But I have to say, time on Lake Michigan is priceless. So hopefully I come back a little bit more refreshed with you all. Let's give some love to our band, yes? We have Mr. Joe Chinquina, our music director, also on bass and vocals. And John Dittert on drums. Lauren Dechtenberg on keys and also vocals and doing our reading today. And our feature vocalist, Mr. Justin Norris. Woo! Yes. And of course, Mr. Jeff Watts, making us all sound good. Thank you. Thank you. So Ahava is the Hebrew word for love. And we gather together every Sunday knowing that love is
always the answer.
That's right. I'm Reverend Rainbow, so grateful to get to serve as your spiritual director and welcome you here on this beautiful Sunday morning. We are a conscious community committed to curiosity so that we may provide a loving space to be reminded of the truth of who we are. We are an open and affirming community, so whoever you are and wherever you are on your spiritual path, know that you are absolutely welcome here. Yes? You feel that? You know that? Okay, good. If you're joining us online, thank you for being a part of our virtual and global community. And your presence here as well makes a vibrational impact on our community. So let us know where you are tuning in from today. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button and share the love of where you are today. Also, if you're in the room, we encourage you to take out your phones, take pictures, little video clips throughout the service. Check in and let people know where the love is. You just want to make sure you turn the volume down on your phone first so you don't get any of that, feedback coming back. If you are a guest joining us for the first time, we especially welcome you here today, knowing that your presence here makes a difference. If we have anyone here for the first time, we would love to give you a special welcome. One of our core council members will give you a connection card. You can fill that out, take it to the bookstore, and get a gift after service. So is anyone here for the first time? All you have to do is raise your hand. Welcome. Give them some love. Yes. Thank you, thank you. And then please join us after service as well. We have coffee and tea, and we would love to get to know you all more. Whether you're here for the first time, the third time, or the 100th time, please stick around so we can get to know you a bit better. We are so, so grateful for the many people who give of their time, their talent, and their treasure to create this beloved community and this experience. So we want to take this moment now just to thank all of our volunteers who give of their time to create this experience, whether it be those in the booth with our youth, preparing the coffee before service, cleaning up after service, or the many things that go on that we can't see. So if you are a volunteer, give yourself a little pat on the back. Otherwise, let's give them a thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, volunteers. And if you're looking for a way to get plugged in, volunteering is a great way to get to know people more and to be of service in this community. And speaking of that, I want to give a special acknowledgement to yesterday's team who put together our yard sale, our very successful yard sale. So thank you, Nancy and Ron Eisen, and everyone that volunteered. Give them a big hand. Yes. I know, it's a lot of work, and it was a lot of fun yesterday, too. And some of you may just be seeing me in some clothes that you thought you wanted to get rid of, but I found value in. So you never know. And our fundraiser yesterday, the yard sale, brought in close to $900. So we are grateful for that as well. Yeah. And knowing that we are one, that we are all connected together, we get to take a moment now, and I invite you just to place your hands over your heart perhaps, and to turn to someone and say, thank you for being a reflection of me. Thank you, thank you. So many beautiful lights reflecting in this room today. And we have a fabulous vision and purpose statement as well, so I invite you to repeat after me and affirm together. We are an inclusive community.
We are an inclusive community.
Committed to global transformation. Through personal evolution. That's right. And then our purpose, let's do this one together. Ready? Wake up, step up, and make a difference. That's right. And today's affirmation, I'll say it once and then we can repeat it together. I am open to seeing multiple perspectives. I am open to seeing multiple perspectives. Yes. All right. So I invite you now to take a deep breath. Just begin to root down into the center of your being. as we move into our centering song and our opening prayer this morning, which will be led by our practitioner, Kim D'Amata.
In this place, my soul is free from the light within. I see all the joy, all the peace. Carry me. Carry me, carry me, oh, carry me. In this place, love abides, holy light. Surrender me all the joy, all the peace. Carry me, carry me, carry me, oh, carry.
Breathing into all the joy, all the peace. Knowing that each of us is one with the one. Feeling that one life, that one source that I know as the infinite flow of multifaceted love. Each perspective unique. I know it as abundance. I know it as power. I know it as wisdom and beauty. I know it as joy. And as this is the truth of the one, this is the truth as me, this is the truth as each and every beloved in our community. And I send out this word knowing this and blessing each and every hand and heart that has made this service possible. I speak my word, blessing all the people watching our children, all the people setting up our kitchen, making Ahava such a beautiful and welcome place to be. I bless our tech team that helps to expand our community and send our words forth out into the universe. I bless our practitioners. I bless our ministers. I bless Reverend Rainbow's talk, knowing that whatever needs to be said today will be said, and whatever needs to be heard will be heard. And with a grateful heart, as we go gently into our morning, I simply let this be, saying, and so it is. Amen.
All the joy, all the peace. Carry me, carry me, carry me, oh, carry me. This morning's reading is by Brene Brown from her book, Braving the Wilderness. The mark of a wild heart is living out the paradox of love in our lives. It's the ability to be tough and tender, excited and scared, brave and afraid, all in the same moment. It's showing up in our vulnerability and our courage, being both fierce
and kind. We are complex beings who wake up every day and fight against being labeled and diminished with stereotypes and characterizations that don't reflect our fullness. Yet, when we don't risk standing on our own and speaking out, when the options laid before us force us into the very categories we resist, we perpetuate our own disconnections and loneliness. When we are willing to risk venturing into the wilderness, we feel the deepest connection to our true self and to what matters most.
Of life is enjoying the passage of time. Any fool can do it. There ain't really nothing to it. Nobody knows how we got to the top of the hill. Since we're on our way down, might as well enjoy the ride. The secret of love is opening up your heart. It's okay to feel afraid, but don't let that stand in your way. Anyone knows that love is the only road. And since we're all here for a while, might as well share some style. Give us a smile, isn't it a lovely ride? Try too hard, it's just a lovely ride. Now the thing about time is that time isn't really real. It's just a point of view. How does it feel for you? Einstein said he could never understand it all. Planets are spinning through space. The smile upon your face. Welcome to the human race. Some kind of lovely ride. I'll be sliding down, try not to try too hard. It's just a lovely ride. Isn't it a lovely ride? Sliding down, gliding down. Try not to try too hard. Just a lovely
So beautiful. Thank you again, Justin and the Ahava House Band. Oh, let me do my vocal warm-ups here. So, this month we are looking at how to expand our ability to live out loud and exploring playfully this idea of paradox. So, last week, practitioner Louise Talland kicked off the theme for us and introduced this idea of a paradox mindset. If you didn't see that message yet, or if you weren't here, you can find it on YouTube or Facebook. Go back and watch it because it's filled with lots of good information. So we're going to dive even deeper as we continue on this theme. And you may be wondering, why are we spending a whole month on paradox? Well, paradox is a very natural part of life. And the more we can embrace this idea, then the more we're able to find solutions to some of the major problems we are facing, not only in our own individual lives, but also in our community and in the world at large. So developing a paradox mindset involves self-awareness, it involves curiosity, and it involves vulnerability. So this week, we're going to look at how to move outside of our comfort zone and to explore new perspectives in order to discover a new way of thinking, a new way of being and experiencing life beyond just the binary, good, bad, right, wrong, black, white. To move into the middle path or the third way and discover how when we sit with the tension of paradox or opposites in our lives, something new can be revealed. I love the way that Brené Brown describes paradox as the capacity to hold the tension of opposites and maintain it until something new is created. So a paradox mindset moves us out of this simplistic thinking, this binary thinking, and encourages us to walk through the unknown, to enter the dark womb of creation until something new is birthed. And it's not always pleasant. It's no wonder that we want to avoid the darkness, the unknown, because our brains are wired for wanting a clear answer. We want to know, is it this or is it that? But when we look at these polarities and opposites that exist in our lives, we can begin to see how perhaps being attached to one perspective or the other actually causes the majority of our suffering. Wishing things were different than they actually are. Holding so true to one way that then the other way becomes the enemy. And therein lies our suffering. Through our own judgment of what is good or bad, right or wrong, instead of embracing the nuance and the discovery of this place in between. So when we are willing to remain open to understanding another's perspective, then we can discover a new way that perhaps involves the benefits of both aspects. And then we can truly be free and break free of the dichotomy of this either-or thinking. So I like to turn to the natural world as an example, as a teacher for us, for we too are actually part of nature, right? We can think that nature is the birds and the plants and the trees and forget that we are also created as one with the whole, and therefore we are too nature. So when we look at the natural world, we see how paradox is part of the natural order of things. The world is not created in this simple good or bad, like our stories and our human stories and fairy tales would have us believe, right? So in order to experience the liberation and fullness of life, we are encouraged to embrace the paradoxes that we see all around us. And if you notice, I've noticed, having a little one now, that the stories these days, the fairy tales that we're telling, they're changing. There's a shift in our cultural understanding that is reflected in the stories we tell. So shows, even like the musical or the book, originally Wicked, it kind of breaks free of that good, bad, dichotomy, and it shows us that perhaps even villains have their own story to tell. And then through that story, we can begin to elicit compassion and empathy, which then also allows us to have more compassion and empathy for ourselves in those moments where we may be acting as a villain in our own story of life, right? So, back to nature. If we look at the natural world, we can see water, for example. Water is essential for life, and yet it can be destructive and even deadly. Same as fire. Fire in and of itself is not good or bad. It can cook food to nourish our bodies, or it can destroy homes and life. So nature gives us examples of this, as well as if you look at animal societies, you'll see both the natural instinct for competition and survival, but also cooperation and working together to survive. And some species, like bees, sacrifice their own lives for the survival of their colony, which seems to go against this whole survival instinct of the individual organism, right? So we can see how paradox lies in the natural world and therefore in our own lives. So let's take a look at our lives. If we were to look at our own relationships, for example, we can, have these various messages that we think that being emotionally vulnerable is seen as, weakness. We have this kind of story we've been told that being vulnerable is weak. But what research and studies and life experience has shown us that being emotionally vulnerable is actually the most courageous thing we can do. We have to put ourselves out there in a way that our survival instinct kicks in and be like, it can be very scary, like, am I going to survive this? And we do it anyway, and it's the most courageous thing we can do. Also, this idea of foreboding joy. We desire, right? We would probably all sit here and say, yes, I want to experience joy. We can hold joy as a value and a deep desire of our heart, and at the same time, be afraid. What do I mean by this? So, we can be excited for something, but have that little part of us that's like, yeah, but don't get too excited. What if? What if the other shoe drops? This relationship's going great, but I'm not going to let myself get too excited. I'm not going to let myself feel the joy of it, because what if I find out they're actually A, B, or C, right? Another example of foreboding joy for me has been through parenting. Any other parents may relate to this, right? How can you experience so much love and joy for someone and then at the same time be so afraid of what might happen? Like, yes, go into the world and be you, but don't get hurt. I'm scared, right? Those are examples of the paradox of life. But it doesn't mean we don't enter into relationships, that we don't, choose to experience love and joy because of the fear. We take a step into the vulnerability of the unknown in order to hold both, to experience both. And within that, surrendering to the simple awareness that, yes, I may be so excited and afraid at the same time. The surrender of this, the simple acknowledgement and acceptance of it allows us to keep moving forward and to experience greater and greater joy and love and a deepening of our experience of life. Another example of this is that, I feel like we are kind of, as a society, transforming this idea of what it means to be compassionate. And that in the past, it may have looked like enabling, right? Of just, being right there with someone's story, but also not wanting to hurt them. So we think that we're being loving, but we're actually enabling. So what we have now discovered, and this goes back to some of the research that Brene Brown has done, is that the most compassionate people, based on research, have the strongest boundaries. We talked about boundaries a couple months ago, right? And how we can think that, saying no may be mean, but what this shows us is that our ability to say no when we have a clear no, holding that boundary, folks that are able to say no when they need to and only say yes when they mean it, allows us to be even more compassionate because it keeps us out of resentment and then allows us to actually have the capacity for compassion. So again, these ideas that we've been told that, saying no is mean and you should just do everything that everyone asks of you, right? Any other recovering people pleasers in the room? This is something I've been working on. Yes, I see you. So by having boundaries and clearly standing in our sacred no and only saying yes when we really mean it, keeps us in integrity and then allows us to actually have the capacity to be more compassionate and to be more loving, which, speaking for myself, is my desire intention at all times. So the, paradox live in the natural world. They live in our emotional, relational ways of being together. And then there is what I would say perhaps the greatest paradox of our experience, which is that we are spiritual beings living a human experience. So we are both spiritual and human. We are both completely one with all life, and the divine essence of life is all of who we are, and yet we are also human. And our humanness is not all of what God, spirit, life, universe is, but yet we are completely divine and human at the same time. How does that work? So when we get caught up by seeing life from only one perspective, we can miss the mark on this. Being focused only on the oneness of life or our spiritual nature may have us missing opportunities to actually embrace the fullness of this human life experience and all the juiciness that's involved in being human. The amazing music and art to be experienced, the things to be created, the beauty in the world, the food to be experienced, right? All these things that are human nature, love, right? The both complex, heartbreaking, and yet ecstatic experience of being in love is in a very human way. Right? So we have to embrace, we don't have to, but you're invited to if you want to. If you want to experience a kind of transcendent experience of living life to the fullness in this human body at this time, to both embody the fullness of who we are as a human being and a spiritual being, walking on this planet at this time of our collective evolution and what is being asked of us today, and what are the stories that we are transforming and learning and discovering new in our collective consciousness by embracing the fact that we are one with all of life, that we are whole, perfect, and complete, and we are humans that absolutely make mistakes. Paradox. So, the same thing, if we could get caught up too much in the suffering and the challenges of humanity, and then we can get so caught up in that we can forget our own spiritual nature or our own divinity and begin to miss out on the transformative, transcendent, joyful experiences of our infinite nature. So in the Science of Mind teaching, which is our foundational teaching here at Ahava, we are asked to embrace this polarity of humanity and divinity, and to then sit with the tension of both until something new is discovered within our own experience of life, being both completely human and a spiritual being. Which leads us then to our spiritual practices. A way to hold the tension between the two is through our practices of meditation, for example. Many of you are here this morning as we offer our meditation before service. So meditation, mindfulness, these are ways to integrate this experience of our spiritual nature within our human nature. I love the idea of mindfulness, like eating a good piece of dark chocolate and just noticing the texture and the flavors, right? That is a divine, transcendent experience if you allow your full humanity to be present to it. But you see how it needs both, right? Like you need your human taste buds and your human senses to experience it. But yet you could also just gobble up a piece of chocolate and swallow it and have not actually experienced the joy and the pleasure that is there to be experienced. The paradox mindset. What is the motivation? What is the intentionality that we bring to our moment-to-moment life and experiences? Pema Chodron is... she is a Buddhist monk and wrote this wonderful book, Comfortable with Uncertainty. And in that she says, as we practice moving into the present moment, we become more familiar with groundlessness, a fresh state of being that is available to us on an ongoing basis. This moving away from comfort and security, this stepping into what is unknown, uncharted, and shaky, that's called liberation. Ooh, I don't know about y'all, but that sounds a little scary. All right? It's like getting familiar with groundlessness. No, I want to be grounded. I want to be rooted. I want to be safe and secure, right? But there is something to being grounded and yet available and flexible, just like those beautiful trees, to the unknown and the uncharted territory, the shakiness of what life will bring. And when we can accept that that just is what it is, she lets us know that is called liberation. Not being detached or disassociated or never experiencing anything bad again, that's not complete liberation. No, it's being able to remember who you are in those shaky times of life and being comfortable with the uncertainty, knowing that it is temporary, right? So often in our life, if you just look at our kind of common language and phrases and things we say, you can see how much we have to navigate these polarities of life. You can see how much binary thinking there is in the kind of, common denominator societal thought. For example, are you a morning person or a night owl? Are you coffee drinker or tea? These questions, for me, I don't know about y'all, but I am just always like, oh, do I have to choose? Like, I've always just been someone that kind of like lives and dances in the middle, and it's hard for me to say, like, what's my favorite? Like, well, my favorite today is, right? So it's like, but if you look at society, you're always being asked these questions. Are you Democrat or Republican? Well, really? Are there only two answers? Are you male or female? Really? Are there only two answers? No, we're getting to shake it up in the world today and realize that there is so much more to life than this or this. Introvert, extrovert. Well, a little bit of both. So, are you a spender or saver? So our whole society is kind of built on these different ways of being, and we even say, opposites attract. And why would opposites attract? Oh, because there's something in the natural, way of the universe that's wanting to find homeostasis, that's wanting to find balance, and to learn from another perspective. So when we began to explore a paradox mindset, we start to notice these things more and can challenge them when we see or hear this or that in our own mind and heart. If it doesn't resonate, we can, ask ourselves, what's the third way? What's a new way? What's the middle path? What is seeking to be known that has never been known before through me by being, transcendent of this or that? And not always having to pick a side. Again, the kind of human nature of our brain, and we like to put people in boxes so we know where they stand, so then we can have a judgment on how we're going to interact with them, right? Anyone else do this? And it's getting so much more divided in our world. Like you can, and we have so many more ways of expressing this. You can be driving down the highway and see certain bumper stickers and flags and things, and then all of a sudden put that very complex, nuanced human being, who probably also has a family that they love very much, into this box and label them. Drive by. I mean, I know y'all wouldn't do that, right? We're all too enlightened in this room. Not. So this is the work, and I think, like, often in society, things come up and seem like they're getting worse right before there's a huge shift or break. And so it's seeming right now that everything is getting even more this or that in the world, especially politically and socially, and with all of these things that we are seeing. And there's many contributing factors to that. But if you were to look beyond the kind of, the factual factors, such as, there's algorithms that only show you a certain perspective. If you were to look behind that, to see that perhaps this is all for some sort of greater evolution, that these things are arising in our culture and in our collective consciousness, so that it will get to the point that that tension is so hard that something has to give. And we will transcend with a new way. But where we are right now, we're in the doubling down stage of growth, right? And everyone just seems to be like doubling down even more on their ideas and beliefs and ideologies, and to gather people around them to contribute or to support that story, so that's this or that, right? So we're doubling down. Well, there's a story that Brene Brown tells in her book, Atlas of the Heart. In 1954, a social psychologist named Leon Fetzinger and a couple of his associates decided to infiltrate a doomsday cult to see what would happen when the leader's prophecy failed to be fulfilled. So the leader had promised her followers that the world was going to end on December 21st, 1954, and that they would all be picked up by a flying saucer and transported safely into outer space for a new dimension of experience. And that this would happen at midnight on December 20th. And what happened was many of their followers then quit their jobs, gave away their houses, began to distribute their savings. They were all in, right? And others were a little bit more shaky, questionable with their faith, and they decided just to kind of, to stay in their homes, wait it out with fear and see what would happen. So what this Fetzinger, the social psychologist, predicted, he had this hypothesis that those who made this strong commitment to this prophecy, that they would quietly lose their faith. And that the leader, when the world didn't end, that those who had given away their possessions and had waited with the other believers for the spaceship, that they would double down on their beliefs. So those that were just kind of like, okay, I believe this, but I'm going to stay in my house and see, right? They would just eventually, it didn't happen, moving on. But those who gave away everything would double down. And even when the prophecy didn't materialize, that the followers who lost the most would demonstrate an increased commitment by doing whatever they could to get others to join them. So at this time, 1954, this hypothesis really blew the doors open on any other existing theory about human behavior and motivation. And, it was unthinkable to think that people would actually double down even though the facts have proven them wrong. And so what happened? Well, it's 2023, and we are here. But in that moment, at 4:45 a.m., when the spaceship didn't come, their leader then shared a new vision, had a new prophecy of what would be to come. And because of this, those that left everything, sold their house, gave everything away to follow them, that were waiting there for the spaceship, they became even stronger in their faith. That the new story they told themselves is that they had been spared because of their faithfulness, and they got to continue to live on this planet. And the most invested members responded by calling the media and sharing this great news, and became even more invested in sharing and being, evangelists for this particular group. Well, as we know now, luckily the doomsday leader's prediction failed. The world didn't end. But the psychologist's prediction was true. And this really changed our whole way of thinking about human behavior. Now, this is an example from 1954, but we don't have to turn too far to recent history to see the same things happening now. People doubling down on their beliefs, even though there are facts and information and prophecies and promises that were made by a charismatic leader that when then didn't happen, people doubled down. So what we know about human nature is that, or what we can assess from this, what I do, is that fear, ego, those things are strong. Those are such strong motivators of behavior that we would rather give up all reason in order to not admit that we were wrong. That we would rather leave everything to follow something, knowing if we don't have to admit that perhaps we made a mistake. That human nature within us, though some people may call it that ego mind that needs to be right, that needs to, that shame and embarrassment is like the ultimate death. So, we see things happening in our world that a lot of us can be very confused by, this doubling down. But what I tend to do for myself when I see things that I judge, I ask myself, okay, well, how can this be true for me? Have I ever doubled down on something because of fear of embarrassment or shame or the need to be right or the need to be seen or acknowledged? Yeah, I have in an argument in a relationship where I felt like my perspective wasn't heard. I will double down on that. And, I can have a part of my brain that's like, just be willing to let it go, or just be willing to acknowledge the other perspective. I know this will bring peace, but then there's that other part of me that feels so core to who I am that's like, no, I will be acknowledged. Like, I must be seen as right. So therein lies the suffering. And again, this paradox. What would it mean to move into a space of being honored and seen and honoring and seeing another from a completely different perspective? Perhaps something new can be birthed. Dr. Ernest Holmes, who is the founder of the Science of Mind teaching, he says, and let us not forget the importance of keeping our minds in a state of good-natured flexibility. Yes, he says, we must be flexible and tolerant as well as positive and affirmative. Flexible and tolerant as well as positive and affirmative. What this looks like to me is moving through the discomfort of what we know or hold to be true and embracing the nuance of humanity and a new way of thinking that moves us beyond the binary, holding the tension between the two polarities until something new is discovered, being flexible. And I think I'm very visual, so this idea of tug of war. It's a game we all know and have played as kids. Two ends, you pulling against this rope. Whoever pulls the hardest or is the strongest eventually wins by the other people falling flat on their face and often in the mud. But what if we were to transcend this idea of a tug of war and to where no one has to lose? What if we both hold tight on both sides and the tension between the two is equally acknowledged, that together we can choose to sit down and drop the rope? No one gets their face in the mud. No one's right, no one's wrong. So how do we do this? Empathy. Being willing to let go a bit, loosen the reins, loosen our grips, rather, on the reins or on the tug of war thing, and to be able to just be willing to see another perspective and to see how the other person's story, as we can have empathy for their story, doesn't have to invalidate our story. So this example of letting go of the tug-of-war rope in order to sit down and drop the rope. For me, I experienced through being willing to see another perspective. Now, we can't truly walk in someone else's shoes because we don't have their whole experience, but being willing to acknowledge their experience as true for them without it meaning that our experience isn't as equally true for us, that's what I mean by empathy. So I'm going to give you a tangible example, a little personal example. I'm going to try to do this without getting into too many of the details of the story, because as we know, the details are not really what it's about. So my wife Heather and I have been practicing and working with a counselor, an expert, someone who can really guide us in this practice of empathy. And we both know it intellectually. But anyone else that's been with someone 16 plus years know that you can get pretty rigid in some of your stories and patterns and need a guide to facilitate this practice to see empathy. So one of the things that was really kind of a sticking point for us had to do with this time in our life years ago when we moved to Chicago. And the way we were able to transform this was to realize that we both were grieving the loss of the dream that we thought this experience was going to be, but holding each other more responsible for that instead of acknowledging that we were both grieving the loss of the dream, right? So, I thought I was moving to have my dream job and a place that I loved and to be able to support my growing family. Heather was pregnant at the time when we moved there. And we had this agreed upon dream and vision for our family of what it was going to look like in those first few years, for her to be able to stay at home and raise our daughter. Well, life happened. It was a very different situation that challenged me in many ways that I felt like was not acknowledged, which then I had my own personal stuff to work through. And instead, every time she would bring up or say things that she kind of resented about how the experience had to change, I felt I took it personally, right? And was like, but don't you see it's because of this, and I'm not the villain here, right? All of these things. Again, don't need to get too much in the details. But to be able to move to a place and a simple sentence that she guided us through to be able to acknowledge the other person's experience, because the thing was, we had the same goal, we had the same dream, we wanted the same, and we still want the same thing for our family. But we were so stuck on never of not being, of the hardness, of the discomfort of being able to acknowledge the other person's experience fully. But in being willing to be seen and acknowledged, it doesn't mean that my story and perspective wasn't true, and it doesn't mean her story and perspective wasn't true. And therein lies the third way. You can get back on the same page through empathy. You can drop the rope by simply being willing to acknowledge another perspective. And again, acknowledging doesn't mean that you are agreeing with all the details of the story. That's where I would get stuck, right? Yeah, but blah, 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 I have all the facts. No. As humans, what our tender hearts want to be seen and acknowledged. It doesn't matter the details and the story and the facts, especially when it's so many years later and our memories have our own versions of those stories and there's no recording to go back to prove. You can't prove what was right or wrong because it just was. So, being able to move into a place of empathy of compassion, of understanding for ourselves and others will lead us to this new way. Brian Emerson, in his book, Navigating Polarities, says, standing in the third way is a practice. It relies on a way of being and doing that most of us were never taught. It requires self-awareness, conscious choice, and courageous action. So if we were to break that down, we have to first be aware of what we are feeling and thinking, what we are judging about ourselves or others. And then we have to make a conscious choice and be courageous in our actions that we take based on the conscious choice we make. So this week, I invite you to go a little deeper, to develop your own spiritual muscles of self-awareness, of empathy, and challenge your capacity to hold the tension of seeming opposites until something new is born. Ask yourself, what are some polarities that you are navigating right now in your life? Where do you find yourself perhaps doubling down? And are you willing to embrace uncertainty and empathy in order for something new to be birthed? This is what it means to lean into the paradox mindset and to discover a new way of thinking, to be implemented not only for our own individual lives, but for the collective. And through this, we can find solutions to the big challenges that our world is facing today. So little did you know, simply showing up for your life, mindfully, consciously, we can change the world. Who's in? You with me? Let's do it. All right, let's take it into prayer. Taking a deep breath right here, right now. Breathing into the love, the joy, the presence of pure possibility that resides right here, right now. Noticing and recognizing the truth that is true for everyone. Recognizing wholeness, oneness, as this infinite source and presence of life, of the universe, that is having its way right here, right now, in, as, and through each of us, as a unique expression of the one, as spiritual beings here having a human experience, and human beings here having a spiritual experience. What I know is that we are one, that there is one life expressing itself in, as, and through all life, as love, as joy, as peace, as freedom, as creativity. So I stand in this truth right here, right now, allowing it to inform all of my thoughts, words, feelings, actions, knowing that I can always choose and choose again. For I am always at choice. So today I choose to lean into this presence of life, to lean into love, allowing love to be the guiding force in my life. Joy and peace, harmony, freedom is my birthright. I am willing to hold lightly the paradox of life and to continue to walk through the dark, to continue to move through the unknown and the uncertainties of life remembering who I am, one with all, backed by the entire universe of infinite possibility and infinite potentiality, seeking to know itself more fully through me, to express itself, to wake up to itself through me this day. How good it is to remember. How good it is to be grateful for this truth, for this life, for this nuanced, complex experience of humanity. And in moments when I forget, I choose to turn to gratitude, to look at the world around me, to notice the beauty and the divine perfection of the rose or the bird or the lake or the river, knowing that I too am that. So right here, right now, with great gratitude for the fulfillment of this prayer, claiming and knowing freedom and love and creativity and joy, I release this word. Release it into the action of the law that always says yes. Yes, yes, yes. And so it is. Mm-hmm.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets me free. There is only love.
So I invite you now to turn to someone and say, I am willing to drop the rope. Yes. I mean, if you really want to, we could set up some tug of war after service and see, but I don't know about, I don't want to get my clothes dirty. All right, so we are now going to move into our time of conscious giving. This is when we get to activate that flow of life in our lives, that flow of good through the form of this beloved resource called money. Knowing that this community is sustained by each of our giving. We are not sourced by any outside organization. We get to create this community. So as we give, we get to fulfill the vision through what we are called to give, knowing that we get to give from the overflow of good in our lives. So let us now, well, first of all, there's several ways that you can give. You can give in the room. We're going to pass a basket. But if you're online, you can also give by texting the word give to 859-209-6996 or going to our new website, ahavacenter.net and clicking the Give button there. So let us do this together now by affirming. Repeat after me. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I joyously contribute to the vision of Ahava, knowing it returns to me multiplied abundantly. And so it is.
God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Love is my source. Love is my power. Love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Love gives me everything I need. Love gives me everything I need. Love gives me everything I need.
Yes. All right, we have some fun things coming up, y'all. So Taste of Ahava is our annual fun and fundraising events. And how this works is that community members like yourself offer some sort of experience, and we can be very creative with this. It could be anything from providing a meal to a meditation to a play. And the community members that sponsor an event front the entire cost, and so that the tickets that we sell, 100% comes back to Ahava. So it's a really great way to have some fun together and to support our wonderful community. And there's some events coming up that people outside of your spiritual community here may want to join as well, even if they're not someone that would ever be interested in coming, say, on a Sunday morning. So, for example, our 3 coming up in July, we have a singing bowl meditation at the Lexington Salt Cave. This is one of my absolute favorite places. If you're like me and you find restoration in the beach, well, little did you know that there is a place right here in Lexington to get that same nurturing experience. The Lexington Salt Cave is literally, you go into this room and it's like a cave built with, I think it's some 7 tons or something of Himalayan salt. And so the cave is made of this Himalayan salt, and there's like a foot thick floor of the Himalayan salt. So I just like to lay in it and like I'm at the beach, right? And I'm going to be offering a singing bowl. I have this beautiful Christian singing bowl that the vibrations in this salt cave are just magnificent. So this is one of our most popular events last year, so we're bringing it back again. You want to get your tickets for that because there are limited space, only 10 tickets available. That is coming up on a Thursday night, July 20th. And that's sooner than you think, y'all. We're already at like July 9th or something. Anyway, I don't know what's happening. And then also later that week, we have our very own Kim Damata, and she went to go get the youth right now, but she and her husband John are a duo known as Fire Flying, and they are awesome musicians. Again, that has been one of our most popular events is when they have offered a concert. So we're going to do an outdoor concert, most likely weather depending, but we can move inside if need be. An outdoor sunset concert on Saturday. I'm doing these dates from my head, y'all. Are they up there? Is it July 22nd maybe? Yes, thank you. And both of those events start at 6:30. Again, get your tickets in advance. That one is going to be fun. You can bring your own little, picnic, bring a little blanket or chair, bring a bottle of wine if you'd like, if we're outside, and charcuterie board, anyone? I don't know. That seems to be a thing these days. And enjoy a wonderful evening together with some awesome live music. And then our third event coming up later this month is a drum circle around the fire pit at Nancy and Ron Ison's place. They have beautiful land. They have acres and acres, and you can go explore their walking trails. And they'll be providing a hot potato bar. No, we're not going to play hot potato. All of a sudden, I just thought hot potato. But there'll be a dinner, hot potato bar, and then drumming and maybe even s'mores, dancing, nature, fun, all the good stuff. So get your tickets for those, knowing again that 100% of the tickets go right back to Ahava. So why not spend your entertainment budget knowing that you can double your good and supporting your community and invite your friends to all of those as well. And we have some more things coming up the second half of the summer, late August, early September, that we'll be announcing soon. We have room maybe for one other event if there's someone in the room that's like, I have something I really want to do and want to contribute and be a part of this. Let me know. We can probably squeeze you in August as well. So that is it for Taste of Ahava. The tickets, there's flyers all around, but in the community room, and there's little QR codes that take you right to where to get your tickets. And on our new website, .net, you can go on there and order your tickets as well. All right, so we're going to turn it back over to y'all. Let's do it.
May you have auspiciousness and causes of success. May you have the confidence to always do your best. May it take effort in you being generous, sharing what you can, nothing more, nothing less. May you know the meaning of the word happiness. May you always lead from the beating in your checks. May you be treated with an esteemed guest. May you get to rest. May you catch your breath. And may the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Whoa. And may the road less paved be the road that you follow. Oh, well, here's to the hearts that you're gonna break. Here's to the lives that you're gonna change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. I want you to have it. Here's to the good life we're gonna have. You don't need money, you got a free pass. Here's to the fact that I'd be sad without you. I want you to have it all. I want you to have it all. I want you to have it. I want you to have it. May you be as fascinating as a slab bracelet. May you keep the chaos and the clutter off your desk. May you have unquestionable health and less stress. Having no possessions, though immeasurable wealth. May you get a gold star on your next test. May you educated be, you always be correct. May you win prizes shining like diamonds. May you really own it each moment from the next. And may the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Whoa. And may the road less paved be the road that you follow. Whoa. Well, here's to the hearts that you're gonna break. Here's to the lives that you're gonna change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. I want you to have it. Here's to the good times we're gonna have. You don't need money, you got a free pass. Here's to the fact that I'd be sad without you. I want you to have it all. I want you to have it all. I want you to have it. I want you to have it. Oh, I want you to have it all. All you can imagine, no matter what your path is. If you believe it, anything can happen. Go, 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 raise your glasses. Go, 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 you can have it all. toast you. Here's to the hearts that you're gonna break. Here's to the lives that you're gonna change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. I want you to have it. Here's to the good times that we're gonna have. You don't need money, you got a free pass. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. I want you to have it all. I want you to have it all. I want you to have it. I want you to have it all. Here's to the good times that we're gonna have. Here's to you always making me laugh. Here's to the fact that I'd be sad without you. I want you to have it all. We love you. You're a shining star. Wonderful. Just the way you are. We celebrate your sacred days. We love you just the way you are. We love you just the way you are. We do.
Was on. Hi, everybody. Okay, today we talked about perspective in our room as well. So we learned an affirmation, and everyone's going to share it together. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Wait a minute, that was so weak. Can you? We even said it like 10 times throughout class today. Wait. What is the affirmation?
I see.
Okay, so they're gonna show. I know you're trying to mess it up. You don't need to tell us that. So, if you want to turn, wait. If you can be respectful and be quieter, you can totally have a turn to share. Are you gonna do it? You don't know? You tell me when you're ready. Okay, so we played a perspective game. We made a project. Who wants to tell about the project real quick? Okay, Kerrigan.
Okay, that's fine. No. Okay.
Totally have a turn.
Okay. So basically, we did this project where it was like we folded it, and the example was doing like a snake, and then whenever you did that, you would like be able to do like that.
Yes. So about perspective, it depends on if it's open or closed. And we also did a fun game. I'm going to say a word, and it's going to just take 10 seconds. Don't worry. Okay, so I'm going to say a word. Rainbow.
Pretty.
Pride.
Don't scream.
Pretty.
Yeah. Come back to you.
Pretty. Pretty.
Oh, my gosh. This wasn't the best example. We're all saying the same thing. Oh, Gabe doesn't want to. What was the word? Rainbow.
Colorful. Pride. In the sky.
In the sky.
Colorful.
Colorful. And then we all say perspective. So we say different nouns. We go around the table and we all say what we think about it. Goat cheese was an interesting one. So anyway, we had an awesome time today. They have some projects to take home, so remember to get those when you leave. We had snacks and everything. So thank you so much. Do you have anything else you want to share, Amy?
They did the, what's that word? What's that game I have? Perspective?
Telephone.
Oh, telephone. That's another good one.
Telephone game and on their own, and then they learned that. And then they learned that when
Hi,
they
bud.
are
I'm surprised.
telling people
Listen,
stuff, and it goes from one person to the next person, to the next person, to the next
Rainbow.
person.
You
that
love
their
rainbows,
perspective
don't you?
always changes.
You're so strong.
So what they learned in all of that is that when you're dealing with people, it's better to go directly to the person
Oh, do you
Because
have?
when you talk to other people,
Ooh,
about
I see a sun. Is that what you
by the
see?
time it gets back to the other people,
It's
may not be what
everything.
you said, and you
This is my microphone.
So to eliminate that,
It
it
takes
is
my
so much
voice
better to just go
loud when I
directly
speak
to
so
that
everyone
person
can hear me.
rather than
It sure
trying to
does.
get it from someone else.
Yeah. You like my
And that was Kerrigan's idea,
Yep,
and we
then
just
we
tied
did
it
the
into the
ladder.
lesson. So
Yeah.
our kids are awesome.
All right.
I also want to say, never play telephone with young boys.
Perspective.
Perspective. All right, let's go.
Yes. That is the stand for that microphone.
Go in the same.
All right. So, just a reminder that we have licensed spiritual practitioners who are here to support you through prayer. You can put a prayer request in our prayer box. You can do that online as well. Or today we have Kim D'Amata, who is here to offer in-person prayer. And we also have a couple of our practitioners that are offering spiritual coaching. So if you're looking for that third person to sit with to help you see a new perspective, to shift, to experience a transformation, this is an invaluable service. So you can find out more information on our practitioner table. We have Dr. Louise Talon, who's not here today, but her card is there, as well as Dr. Patty Cooper, who is here today, and her card is there if you want to find out more about booking a one-on-one session for spiritual coaching. All right, so let us now bring our service to a close. I invite you to stand if you are able and it feels good to your body. And two, oh goodness, wait, hold on. Here we go. Repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening to me right now.
Something wonderful is happening to me right now.
It's this thing called life.
It's this thing called life.
Life is in my mind.
Life is in my mind.
Life is in my body.
Life is in my body.
Life is in polarity.
Life is in polarity.
I accept it.
I accept it.
I am it.
I am it.
I share it.
And I share it.
Just the way it appears,
Just the way it appears.
and just the way it appears not.
Just the way it appears not.
Thank you, life.
Thank you, life.
Let me live in a holy, holy way.
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 Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way.
Let me live in a holy, holy way.
Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way.
We want to thank everyone for coming out today and for watching online. Please join us again next week. We're here every Sunday. You know where to find us. Let me live in a holy, holy way.
Let me live in a holy, holy way.
Let me love in a holy, holy way.
Let me love in a holy, holy way.
Let me live in a holy, holy way.
Let me live in a holy, holy way.
Let me love in a holy, holy way.
Let me